I'm Zena Ronnfeldt. My family arrived and started farming in Queensland, Australia in the mid-1860s, moving to this area in 1942. We produce irrigated and rain-grown cereal, legume, silage and cotton crops. Less than 3% of Queensland is suitable for high-value intensive cropping. Australia is the driest inhabited continent on Earth, but our farms are in the floodplains surrounding Dalby, one of the few areas in Australia with a good combination of soil, climate, landform, access to irrigation water, proximity to transport and export hubs. This means we can grow more crop using less water with a smaller environmental footprint. One of our farms is on the edge of a coal seam gas mining area which started producing gas by 2007. The gas producing wells progressed east towards us, reaching our western boundary by 2014 and encompassing our farm by 2020. In early 2020, we realised sunken areas had formed in our most western paddock. These stopped surface water draining properly, interfering with our ability to farm. When you suddenly find you have farm machines getting bogged where they never have before, you know you have a serious problem. I went searching for reasons why our paddock was sinking. Our region is tectonically stable. There is no groundwater irrigation nearby and no melting permafrost nor decaying peat bog. What we do have are relatively recent coal seam gas wells. I have learnt that to mine methane gas from underground coal seams, the salty and contaminated water is brought to the surface. This reduces underground pressure, allowing the gas to flow out of the coal, which then shrinks. The water and pressurized gas partly hold the ground up, so their removal causes the ground to fall in on itself, resulting in depressions at the surface. The coal seams are in many very thin layers, which are random, different in thickness and depth underground. They are mostly short and not well connected to each other. There is also variability in water and gas content within each seam. It is logical the sunken areas at the surface will be random and continue to develop. This is the reality we are living with and paying for in our paddock. The subsidence from the gas mining also causes fracturing of strata below the surface, both within and above the coal seams. This fracturing is permanent and ongoing, causing microseismic events, compromising existing cropping use and damaging underground aquifers. Our prolonged discussions with government who regulate onshore unconventional gas mining have revealed that while government and gas industry knew coal seam gas mining can cause subsidence, no real effort was made to research, measure or monitor it, and no attention was paid to working out possible bad impacts to cropping. We found that no relevant data at a cropping land use scale was gathered over time. We and other farmers discovered we have a very big problem, as there has been no proper science put in place to prove the subsidence and no clear legislative pathway to compensation. Gas industry was left in charge of collecting, controlling and using data with no incentive to gather information which would prove its liability to farmers. Conveniently for government and gas industry, no proper science on subsidence means no pathway to stop gas mining or halt future gas development where high value and irrigated cropping areas will be permanently destroyed, or where overland water and floodwater speed and direction will change. We, like other farmers, didn't collect our own measurement data over the last decade because we didn't know we had to. Government and gas industry were busy telling us subsidence wasn't going to be a problem for cropping and farmers would be no worse off. It wasn't made clear until 2021 that the government's regional environmental data was of too broad a scale for cropping. This led me to search for other ways to look back in time. I will be sharing more about this in the next few weeks. The last 3 years have been a difficult, emotionally draining and expensive journey. There has been little support from the government, who receives income from the gas industry and whose failures in regulation, oversight and compliance have been exposed by farmers. Coal seam gas mining is a very short-term climate warming industry whereas cropping is forever. The sinking of our paddocks has and continues to impact every facet of our business and daily life. We're constantly trying to work out how to remediate the damage, but we can't see a way forward where we can continue to crop and still make a profit. Our time is wasted navigating complex legislation to work out how we can obtain compensation. Arrow Energy has consistently refused to show us how their activities on our property are lawful. It is immensely stressful and has come with horrific life cost. As reasonable people, we have, for the last 3 years, been trying to engage government and Arrow Energy in constructive dialogue to work towards a resolution, but we consider they have been non-cooperative bullies who are unwilling to deal with us in good faith. So for you, it is decision time, because it's not just about you and your situation anymore. It's about the longevity of the critically important cropping industry here around Toowoomba. We live in a world that is here for eternity, yet today's world is all about instant gratification. Farming is about permanence and good stewardship of our land and environment for future generations. We are living with subsidence caused by Arrow Energy coal seam gas wells. This is our story. Subsidence is real. It is impacting us. This is how it will affect you, because this is how it will impact you. You need to make your choice. Subsidence is not authentic to most of you because you haven't had to live it, smell it, or see it. You are our audience because most of you are not living our reality yet. We are giving you the gift of knowledge and forewarning so you can understand in a small way what your reality is going to be. You can choose to believe the propaganda of the Chinese government and Shell-owned subsidiary, Arrow Energy, who have had no hesitation in lying to Australian farmers that the sunken areas we report in our Western paddock have always existed. As you can see from these images, there have always been a couple of wet areas in the paddock, which Arrow Energy's own LiDAR imagery show were drained by channels which worked successfully until Arrow gas wells caused so much subsidence to the western half of our paddock that we could no longer farm it. So you can choose to live in the now, or you can choose to stay in the fairy tale that Arrow Energy, with the help of the government, has created for you. Either way, you will never be able to appreciate how hard our story has been to live until you become part of that story when your farm starts to sink. So it's decision time for you. Good luck with that.